Is philology a form of linguistics? And if yes, could linguists, excuse me, actually answer as to why like languages and alphabets have their shape?
I mean, so philology is like the old-fashioned term for linguistics,
Okay.
right? So philology, like the love of, I mean, like etymologically meaning means the love of language,
Mm-hmm.
right? So and so linguistics as a term, I mean, doesn't really come in until like the 20th century as a way of describing the kind of work that linguists do. Philology is an older term for the same kinds of things that people were doing. So it depends what you mean by philology, like like the historical linguist. I mean, so a lot of historical linguistics comes out of the philological tradition, but there's like poetry traditions in philology and things like that. I mean, if you're asking like why do alphabets look the way they do, or why is language? I mean, I've always loved the answer. Well, language looks the way it does because children have to learn it. Um, right? Human mind makes it, and children have to learn it. And if children can't learn it, if there's a piece in your language that children can't learn, it goes away in a generation. Period. Right? Because that's how you transmit language. Kids have to learn it. So I mean that's a way of saying what the human mind looks like. I mean, some of us think that's why does language look the way it does? Well, you're asking the big question. Why does the human mind look the way it does? Here you go. As for alphabets, it's probably a more local question having to do with fine grained perceptual abilities and like how you distinguish different um, things. Right. So like you couldn't have two letters that were so close to each other that we can't tell them apart. On the other hand, you want symbols that are comparatively easy to represent to actually draw. Right? You wouldn't want to this. I mean, characters are an interesting, but I say the character-based systems are an interesting sort of counterexample to some of that, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
you can actually have a system that works really differently, um, and only part is like captures phonological information, but also semantic information, and uh, uh, isn't sort of phonetically based.